So I want to begin by talking about probably the most important development since independence in Jammu and Kashmir, which is the Article 370. Now, it has been more than a year since the provisions of the Article 370 were nullified, and it has been more than a year since the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has come into existence. I want to understand how significant is this are these developments in the larger sort of scheme of things in the context of Jammu and Kashmir, and how have they changed Jammu and Kashmir?
It's a very important question for your audience. Let me get into a bit of history, even though people find history boring, but I think in the context of Jammu and Kashmir, that is the single most important factor that really shaped the destiny of millions of people, not just in Jammu and Kashmir, but the rest of the country also. Uh, Jammu and Kashmir's 370 was granted in a certain context. And the context, of course, was after the partition of India, in which two countries were created. One was, of course, Pakistan, and the other was India. And Jammu and Kashmir, because it was a Muslim majority state, and the circumstances in which it became a part of India somehow got complicated, because Pakistan tried to invade Jammu and Kashmir state, which was a princely state before 1947. And Jammu and Kashmir's ruler at the time, Maharaja Hari Singh, he acceded. Of course, looking for help when Pakistan tried to invade the state. And in those circumstances, Jammu and Kashmir became part of India. Now, apart from that, Article 370 was granted to Jammu and Kashmir under the Constitution of India. But even at that time, there was a lot of opposition to the whole idea of 370, which essentially meant granting special status to Jammu and Kashmir state, which was very unique, which was very different from the rest of India, where everybody was at par, where every constituent, every state was at par with each other. And at that point of time, BJP, which was at that time it's still in the nascent years of its formation, they opposed the whole idea, because in no secular democratic dispensation can a state have different status, especially if it's a secular democratic republic. It could not have that, you have two different constitutions, two different laws, two different systems of governance. So from that perspective, it was Jammu and Kashmir was different, and Article 370 sowed seeds of political discontentment, political opposition at the very beginning of the formation of this country, and also Jammu and Kashmir, which became part of India. Now, 370, more than anything else, I would say it created a psychological barrier between the people of Jammu and Kashmir and the rest of India. Apart from what Pakistan did, starting from 1947, it made 4 attempts to invade Jammu and Kashmir, and then of course in the last 30 years it has been perpetrating cross-border terrorism in the state. It killed thousands and thousands of Kashmiri Pandits and Kashmiri Muslims in the state to annex it. So the question here is that how did Article 370 create a psychological barrier between J&K and the rest of India? Because Jammu and Kashmir was seen as the special status, seen as different from the rest of the country, the politicians in Jammu and Kashmir basically sold the idea that Jammu and Kashmir, because it was a Muslim majority state, and by the principle of two nation theory, under which Pakistan was created, Jammu and Kashmir should have gone to Pakistan. And since it did not go to Pakistan and it became part of India, Jammu and Kashmir's Muslim leadership, which was concentrated in Kashmir, they projected as if they had done a huge favor to India. So they used Article 370 as a blackmailing tool. So whenever there was an issue of say, power, or when they wanted funds, when they wanted New Delhi to do things that would help them to stay in power, they used Article 370 as a blackmailing tool. And in that process, Kashmiri people started believing that Article 370 was essential for its existence. The Kashmiri mainstream politician basically told his constituents in Kashmir that since you are Muslims and India is the Hindu majority nation, your Islam is in danger, your identity is in danger, your whole existence is in danger. And that created a gulf between communities, that created a gulf between New Delhi and Kashmir, that created a gulf between the rest of India and Kashmir. So essentially, if you really ask me in one line, what did Article 370 do to Jammu and Kashmir in the last 70 years? I would say that it perpetuated the idea of two-nation theory. It perpetuated the idea of Pakistan, even though India was a secular democratic republic, even though it is a secular democratic republic. It perpetuated the idea that a Muslim majority state cannot live as an equal and at par with the rest of India. So I would say in the last 1 year, I think that confusion is over, that ambiguity is over, that Jammu and Kashmir is special because it's Muslim majority. The whole idea of communalism, which Article 370 generated and perpetuated, it's over. As of today, under the new scheme of things, where Article 370 has been nullified because of the reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir state, which happened on August 5th, 2019, last year. Today, Jammu and Kashmir state has the same rights, same system as the rest of India. It does not have a separate constitution. It does not have a separate law. It does not have a separate flag. It has the same system as the rest of India. What has happened to Jammu and Kashmir on the ground is a different story. In the last 30 years, what the nullification of 370 will do or has done in last 1 year, again, is a different story. It's far more complex than people think. Because if an entire society has been fed a communal perspective for 70 years, and in the last 30 years, an entire society has believed that there will be some kind of resolution between India and Pakistan, and there will be some kind of give and take between New Delhi and Srinagar. That has not happened. What has really happened is that India, as a secular democratic republic, has prevailed in Jammu and Kashmir in the way it should have, beginning 1947 or beginning 1950, when India became a republic. So from that perspective, I would say that many people may be disgruntled in Kashmir, because for a long time they thought that they had the special status and they were privileged, and they had this special position or special bargaining chip, which they now don't have. So it is going to take them time to come to terms with that new system and new dispensation. And also they will have to get used to the idea that they are like the rest of the citizens of India. They will have to go through the same process and same mechanisms as anybody else. They will not be given any incentives greater than, say, citizens of Punjab or Haryana or any other state.
Namaste. We hope you enjoyed this Chitti Media content. Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.